Hey there friends, how's it going? I'm MisterBo, and we have been talking about what we believe is called Crash Bandicoot Wumpa League for over a year now. The original tease on that TV in Crash Bandicoot 4 on Rude Awakening was found on November 29th, 2020. Now over the last year we've talked about a lot of things with this game. What this game is, teases, leaks, rumours, we've covered the gambit. But in this video I want to do some speculation before the Game Awards next week on December 9th. That is when we think we're going to be getting a reveal for whatever this new Crash game is. Again, we all assume it's going to be called Wumpa League, but it may not be. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I was 90% sure we'd be getting something at the Game Awards. However, I will say that's gone down to 50% now, mainly because of all the things that have been happening currently with Activision. And we've seen the likes of Phil Spencer, Jim Ryan, and even Doug Bowser, the heads of Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation, come out against Activision and say, hey, you need to be making changes or otherwise we're going to take action. And I wouldn't put it past Jeff Keighley to maybe do the same kind of thing and say, hey, we're not going to promote any of your new games until a change is made. So we're going to have to kind of wait and see. Fingers crossed we do get something at the Game Awards, but I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe don't now. With that out of the way though, let's get into the speculation and talk about what I think Wumpa League is going to be from a gameplay perspective, how I think this game is going to play, and probably what Activision wants from this game. And I'll say it one more time, this is speculation, these are just my theories, this is what I think I'd like to see from this game. I know a lot of people, including myself, a few months ago were like, maybe this could be a Crash Bash remake. Whilst Crash Bash is indeed a fun game, I really enjoy it. Would it hold up in the year 2021? Maybe with some additions and some tweaks, but I don't think there's replayability there. I don't see a game like Crash Bash having even a year's worth of life on it. You play all the mini games over and over and over again, and yes, you could add more mini games, but at a point it probably gets a bit stale and a bit repetitive. Would I be mad though if we got a Crash Bash remake? Hell no. I love that game and would love to see it be brought up to the modern standard. I just don't think that's what we're going to be getting here, but I'd love to be wrong. So what do I think Wumpa League is going to be? Well, I think it's going to be a PvP multiplayer arena game. A lot of the hints and teasers and information that we have about what this game could be really points in this direction. So let's take a look at some other games that are along the same line. There are 3 games that come to my mind. The first being a game that you may have played. It came out earlier this year and it is called Knockout City. It is an arena dodgeball multiplayer game where you run around this map picking up dodgeballs and throwing them at enemies. You have 2 hits on you. Once you've been hit twice, that is an elimination and a point to your team. First to 10 wins. And there's variation in there. There's different game modes and different balls you can throw at people. But it is a quick hop in, have fun multiplayer arena game. And I think this is the kind of thing we could probably expect from Wumpa League. Another game that you might not remember that came out last year and kind of flopped as soon as it came out the gate, unfortunately, is a game called Bleeding Edge. This is another multiplayer arena game focused on melee combat, but what was different in this game compared to a game like Knockout City is that you had a bunch of characters, all with their own abilities, all in their own roles. You had your attack role, your defense role, and your support role, similar to what we see in games like Overwatch, those hero-based games. In Bleeding Edge, there are a few different modes, but one stands out specifically, and that is a game mode where you'd have to run around the map, find these canisters, break them open, collect their content, and then take that back to your base and deposit it to get a score. That sounds an awful lot like that original audio that was found in Crash Bandicoot 4, where you needed to go and find Wumpa fruit, bananas, and watermelons, pick them up, and take them back to your base to score. You can kind of see where I'm going here with this. And then the other game that comes to mind, which I think most of you may have played out of any of these, and that is Plants vs Zombies, specifically Battle for Neighborville, and a game mode in that game called Battle Arena, which pit 2 teams against each other in an elimination type game mode. And again, like Bleeding Edge, you had your different characters and your classes. They were split into attack, defense, and support. There's also another game that comes to my mind, though I've not played it, and that is Splatoon. That is a 4v4 multiplayer arena style game. Imagine that, but with Crash Bandicoot characters. Hopefully by now you're starting to see the pictures I'm putting together for what I think Wumpa League could be. Now if we go back to that timeline that came out at the beginning of this month that was found on a developer's website, and everything on this could have changed, but I think the main idea that Toys for Bob probably had when they greenlit this project probably hasn't changed that much and is still along the same lines. Well, there's some things in that timeline that support my theory. Firstly, we see 12 maps. Imagine arena maps based on fan favorite locations throughout the Crash universe. We then see 16 heroes. Again, imagine the characters from Crash Bandicoot 4 split up into different roles and maybe each with their own abilities. Here's a little image I put together. You can see I put the characters in attack, defend, and support. You could have a character like Entropy here, who maybe is a defense character, and he's able to slow down everyone on the map for a time. Or maybe you have a character like Embryo, who's support. And just like Moira in Overwatch, he uses his 2 different potions, one to debuff enemies and one to buff teammates. I really think there's a lot you could do here with this. On top of that, there's also a bunch of game modes you could do. Firstly, you could have that one where you collect Wumpa Fruit and bring it back to your base. Then you could see other staples or arena type multiplayer games like Capture the Flag, King of the Hill, an elimination type mode, and there's a bunch of other stuff they could do with it. Now another thing from that timeline also supports this theory, and that is near the end of the timeline when we have the closed beta and we have the open beta. Now for one, I don't know if you'd really need an open beta for a game like Crash Bash. Maybe you would, but I don't think you probably do. We didn't get a beta for Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, but again, things on this timeline could have changed or maybe not even been real. And something else is under closed beta, we have balance focus, and on open beta, we have meta testing. If this was a game about minigames, you probably wouldn't need to balance anything. And if you're not aware of what meta means most effective tactics available. You usually have a meta in a sandbox multiplayer game. This is where things can become OP. For instance, in a game where there's a ton of guns, you might see a gun be super powerful and everyone uses that as the meta because that is the most effective tactics available. That's going to be the quickest gun to kill people with. Or maybe there's a fighting game and there's one character that is super overpowered and everyone just uses that character. Doing meta testing would certainly fit in with the kind of game that I think Wumpa League could be, making sure all of these characters are balanced and not everyone is picking a character like Ripperoo or something like that. Again, this is just speculation and trying to connect the dots between what we have available to us. Now there is another thing that Activision probably wants from this game that they could do pretty easily with what I'm suggesting here, and that is basically make money. Now, I think this game is probably going to be free to play no matter what it is. If we go back to that timeline, the very first thing at the beginning of the timeline looks like it says free to play meta. I could easily see this being a free to play game that then has a battle pass as well as an in-game store where you could buy skins for characters, maybe emotes to do, sprays, stickers, nameplates, all of that kind of stuff, as well as maybe a battle pass that you can level up and then earn currency to buy future battle passes or more skins and stuff in the store. We've already seen them do this with Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. Yes, you could earn everything in the store by just playing the game, but then we saw it more recently in Crash Bandicoot on the Run. There were hundreds of skins for Crash and Coco. Now imagine that for kind of a bigger roster of characters. And then on top of that, again going back to that timeline, we do see that there was going to be some sort of loot system implemented into this game. That could be one of two things. Loot that you pick up in the game, maybe like common, rare, epic, and legendary weapons or items, or this loot system could be referring to the store where you buy stuff, that kind of loot. And maybe like Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, we get monthly updates that have a theme to them, and we get new characters, new maps, and game modes added into this multiplayer arena game that is free to play. But there you have it. That is my speculation on what I think Wumpa League could be. A 4v4 multiplayer arena game where you pick your favorite characters from the Crash universe, each with their own abilities, load into a map that you're maybe familiar with, and play fun game modes. Hey, they could even take game modes from Crash Bash and add them into this. Maybe a game mode where you're all on pogo sticks, running around the map, trying to tag up the place, kind of like Splatoon. So I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about an arena-style Crash Bandicoot game? Would you be interested in this kind of thing? Or maybe you still think Wumpa League is going to be a Crash Bash remake? Or maybe you have a completely different idea for what you think this game is going to be? I think we're all fairly certain this game does exist because of all the teasing that we've covered in previous videos. It's just a matter of when we'll actually see it, and fingers crossed that is at next week's Game Awards. But as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, maybe not anymore. We'll have to wait and see. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, then click that like button. It really helps support the channel and it gets this video out to more people. Let me know if you like this speculation type video. I don't do them that often, but I've had this idea for what I think Wumpa League could be for a while now, and I wanted to get it out there before we get a reveal, just in case I was right, and then I could have gone, cool, I was right, and if not, I could be like, okay, maybe not this time, maybe I'll be right next time. Also, if you aren't already, then subscribe for more gaming content and coverage. You can also follow me over on Twitter at @IamMisterBo, and you can join our Discord server, link to that in the description. Apart from all that though, cheers for watching and for hanging out, I really do appreciate it. As always, make sure you take care, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.